Now let's discuss the next topic on computers and programming. Computers and programming. Okay, so we have seen that a computer is a machine that takes input, processes it, and gives output. So this processing part of how to convert the input to the output is specified by the program. This program is written in a language which we call a programming language. Okay, so when it takes input and processes it, so where is this input actually? Is it somewhere hanging in the air? No, it's supposed to be in the in a specific location of a computer so that the computer can fetch it or retrieve it for usage. So such a location, or it's temporarily stored in what we call the memory of the computer. Okay, sorry for that again, the memory of the computer. So I have to get used to this thing. So the inputs are stored in the memory. The program processes those inputs. So when it has to, so the program basically accesses the memory. When it accesses the memory, it has to refer the location where the input is stored. Such location must be given a name. That name, sorry again for this, is called a variable name, a variable. So since most of you must have already been doing programming, you must have heard what is this variable. Things like variable, declaration of variables, initialization of variables. So what is this variable? This variable is basically the location of the inputs in the memory of the computer. So if I consider this as the memory of a computer, the memory is divided into multiple blocks. Okay, so each block is a location. So how do I refer this? There are multiple ways of referencing a particular location in a memory. One, by the address. Two, by giving it a name. So I cannot refer all the variables or all the locations by address. So I tend to give them names. So this name is called a variable. Suppose for any computer I want to store some value into this or some input into this. The input may be of type. So for example, I want to store a number. So such a number is called an integer. Okay, and if I want to give it a name, I would give it a name of number. Okay, so this statement basically tells I have created or I have allocated a name called number to a location in the memory of the computer. So but then what does this integer define? So this defines that the location or the variable number should contain or should allow a input of type integer. So it can be a number from which is a positive number or a negative number or zero to be stored in that location. And is there anything else that this thing defines? It also defines how much space we have to allocate for this particular input. So number is an input of integer type. So if it's an integer, so what is a range? Okay, so that also is defined by this particular I would call it as an identifier, which will come back later to discuss what it is. Okay, so for example, if I want to represent numbers up to some 32,000, so all I would require would be about 4 byte space. So we'll again see this why it is so. So the variable is the name of the location in memory which would store an input that would be processed by the computer to generate an output. So this is the basics of variables. In addition to storage, the variables type of variable that is being that is being stored in that particular location, this int also defines the operations that can be performed on that variable. Okay, suppose here I have written like int. Suppose I want to store a string. Okay, string is nothing but a sequence of characters which are referred as text characters. So if I want to store a string there, so what is the operation I can perform on string? So this is what the type of variable also defines. Okay, so I guess you understood the basic concept of what a variable is. Now in our next lecture, let us see how we can manipulate variables to get the desired output. See you in the next video.